All right. Good morning, everybody. It's about 15 minutes to airtime here. Just getting hooked up, making sure everything is working. I'll have a guest calling in for the first half of the show and an in-house guest for the second half to go. Good morning, Waylon. Hopefully, everything's working the first time this morning. Karen from KOLY is on with me. That's good. Got at least one show going to carry it today. One station. All right. Gonna do my best to hit my brakes. Karen, beware. Last time I did the show, I ran over the end of it by a long time. First break at 15, second break at 30, off at 8:55. I need to get a little bit. Morning, Wayne. There we go. Get a little bit better clock up here so I can see my seconds. All right. So I don't forget to do it again. Oh, let's see here. We're going to go with a time mark of 7:52 Central Time on mark. And I will try to give a couple more countdowns. Some of the stations like that. Some of them don't really care. They're going to play over the top of me whether I like it or not. All right. I am going to get a couple more things squared away here, so I will go silent for a couple minutes. So, Karen, don't be worried, or any of the other stations that are on already. We're up and running. We'll try to get a good show to you today. Thanks. All right. Better get on here and start making some noise so nobody gets nervous. We've got Karen on. Any of the other stations want to let me know that they're on, that'd be great. If not, we'll just wing it. Hopefully you get the show. All right, here. I haven't used this board for live audio for a while. I got to do a little fixing of things. There we go. That's a little better. All right, morning, Todd. KGFX is on. Jim Albers, I don't know what station you're from or if you're a listener, but thanks for getting on early here. We got a few minutes to show time. 7:57 I have on my clock. I'll give you a time check here. Another minute or so. Then I'm going to get Gene on the line. We've got Gene Cox out of Mobridge, South Dakota on the first half of the show. And then I will have a live in-guest studio. In-studio guest? In-guest studio? However you want to say that. I got a guy here with me for the second half. Todd is working remotely from Vegas while I'm working remotely from my office. I'm always remote. What are you doing in Vegas, Todd? Eric's on. All right. Morning, Eric. Vegas. Actually, I did see you posted some pictures. I didn't know you were down there now that you say that. Time check coming up, stations. 7:58 Central Time on Mark. Donnie Osmond, front row and backstage. The Peacock from The Masked Singer from a few seasons ago. That ought to be a good show. He's got a lot of energy for a fella that's getting a little long in a tooth. All right, we're going to get Gene on the phone here and make sure he's out of bed. He's probably been up for a while. He's down there for some lever action competition down in Arizona.
Hello.
Morning. How are you?
Oh, man, living the dream.
Good, good. Well, we're on YouTube Live. We got about 7 minutes or so here till the show starts. I just want to make sure I got you on the line and everything was hunky-dory and ready to go.
Yeah, I got coffee going, the whole 9 yards.
Perfect. Perfect. All righty. Well,
sitting in a camper, just enjoying the sun's coming up down
Oh, that's
here.
right. You took camper down there.
Yeah, I can't afford a motel room in Phoenix this time of year.
Well, I tell you what, I was just down there a couple of weeks ago visiting my dad. He's been down there. Actually, they're probably pulling back into Bowman today if they didn't make it home last night, but he was down there about 5 weeks. And him and I went to find a motel room, and yeah, you're not lying. Even as expensive as gas is, if you're going down there for a period of time, it's worth pulling the camper.
Yeah, it is. I last year was my first year to come down here, and I thought, it's wintertime. Well, it's wintertime where we live, and it's not wintertime down here. And yeah, motel rooms, and it's like, bring the camper down.
Yeah, we got a couple questions already here to the topic for today. We're going to talk lever guns and lever gun competitions in the first half of the show. And then we're going to talk the crash of the fur market, and we're going to talk legislative review for North Dakota. I don't have a whole lot for South Dakota as far as legislative stuff. I haven't been able to research that much, but that's something that Scott's got a few more connections on. He can maybe hit the South Dakota legislative outdoor bills next week.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell you really what's going on in the legislature for game and fish and hunting stuff. I pay attention to a few other things.
Yeah, North Dakota.
My side job.
I'll give North Dakota Game and Fish credit. They post pretty much every bill that has to do with hunting or outdoors in any way, shape, or form, even if it's something that they don't like and don't want. They do put those bills on their website for people to follow and to be aware of things. So I'll give them credit. Okay. They'll put the ones they hate out there on their site too, so that everybody knows kind of what's going on. So
yeah, at least keep it fair.
Right. Say, Gene, what's the name of the competition that you're at?
I am at the Arizona State Lever Action Silhouette Rifle Match. That's the championship. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. If I have to write something down, I gotta put my mic down. I don't have a mic stand here in my office. I need to buy one. I'm one-handed here.
I know it's the little things you discover you don't have when you're right in the middle of doing
Yeah,
something.
it's a son of a gun. All right, another time check here for the stations. We're coming up close to the show. We'll go silent right before the show for the last minute or so, Gene. But I do have 8:02 Central Time coming up here in a few seconds for the stations. 8:02 Central on mark. All right. Yeah, it's going to be really nice here today, but nothing like down there. It was 69 to 73 the whole time I was down there. It was funny, the week before when I wasn't down there, Dad was at one of the car auctions and it was cold. Everybody had coats on. They had a high of around 55, and glad I waited.
It was 44 degrees, yesterday morning when the sun came up, and I wore shorts and I put a hoodie on. I mean, the wind was howling pretty good. So I had shorts on, but yeah, everybody else was dressed up like Eskimos, and they looked at me like I was insane. And I was like, no, it's like 25 degrees back home.
Yeah, we went to a car show and just into California when I was down there, and it was the same way. We rolled in there at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I literally had a T-shirt and shorts on, and I didn't see any winter parkas, but there were some pretty big coats. But you gotta remember, it is the desert, Arizona especially. The mornings, even when it gets to mid 70s, the mornings are chilly. Yeah, Todd Mitchell's making fun of me. 2 words he says: headset mic. I hear you, and I tell you what, Todd, I am more than willing to take that donation of a headset mic for my broadcasts if iHeart's got an extra set laying around.
Yeah, even a used one will work, right?
What's that?
Even a used one will work.
Absolutely.
Right?
As long as she still makes sound, I'm happy. Todd just said they said it snowed in Vegas a couple weeks ago. So did he buy anything at the auction? Oh, Eric, yeah, my dad did end up picking up a car at the auction. Ended up with a 69 Camaro. So white on silver, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be delivered in Bowman tomorrow, the way it sounds. So we'll see I haven't got to see it yet. So, all right, 8:04 and a half here. We're going to go silent till the beginning of the show here, and then I will bring you in, Gene.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. I'm your host for today, Jesse Flath, coming to you live from my office in downtown Hazen. Scott's out on official board business today. He's in an airplane, so he won't even be able to critique me until he listens to the show again. He's on a board of directors meeting for Consolidated. And we want to thank Consolidated Telephone out of Dickinson and West River Telephone out of right across the street here in Hazen for the great broadband service that allows us to broadcast the show over the great stations you're listening on: KGFX in Pierre, KOLY in Mobridge, KFYR in Bismarck, KCJB in Minot, and KLTC in Dickinson, plus those of you watching on YouTube on Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. Coming to you on a show that's been broadcasting for nearly 2 decades, as Scott has been on the radio longer than he realized after we got to talking about it last weekend. Today around here, we're going to have some nice weather, high around 38 with wind, barely there, but it's not going to be near as nice as the weather down in Arizona, where the Arizona State Lever Silhouette Rifle Match is going on. And that's where our guest for today is hanging out. Gene Cox, the mayor of Mobridge, big time guest today. How you doing, Gene?
Living the dream, man.
We were talking a little bit on air, off air before the show. You pulled your camper down there, and you're staying in your camper at the shoot.
Yeah, they don't give away motel rooms in Phoenix in February, apparently.
No, they do not. I was down there a couple weeks ago, and things are pricey. Things are even the old Motel 6s and Super 8s were pretty proud. So
yeah, the ones I checked out were like $200 a night, and I was thinking, you know what, I can get the wheel bearings repacked on my camper. They got campsites right here at the shooting range, and I don't even have to go into the big city.
There is a lot of camping sites. We actually took a 5-hour trip over just into California for a car show, and all along that whole highway and in those big cities, even there's a lot of camping set up down there. It's kind of nice.
It is.
So back to the shoot that you're down there for. Those of you that have listened to the show, Gene's been on before, and he comments in once in a while. You are a lever action open sight guy. You're the guru of the levers. So tell us what's going on down there.
Guru is a pretty tall order. I'm just a guy that got addicted to this stuff. So
yeah,
this is their state championship. I got bored last year and thought, you know what, let's go to Arizona. What do you want to do in Mobridge in February that you can't do in Phoenix?
Absolutely.
It's warm down here, and came down and thought, well, I'll give her a whirl and see what we can come up with. So,
well, give us the ins and the outs of the competition. What it's a silhouette. So, what are we shooting? How big are they? How far? And then after the break, we'll get to what you took with you to try to knock them things down.
Okay, well, let's see. Yesterday was the rifle match. Today's the pistol caliber rifle match. You shoot rifles.
Okay.
And then tomorrow's a 22 rifle match. And what you shoot at yesterday, you shoot a chicken, you shoot a pig, you shoot a turkey, and then you shoot a ram. And you got to knock them down. And if you spin one, don't count. If you bounce the bullet off, don't count. You got to knock it over.
Okay, so I saw you put a couple pre-videos up with some practice sessions a couple days ago, and you did make a low leg hit on one of those rams, and it did not go over, and you were not very happy about it. Now I understand it has to tip over to count.
Has to tip over to count. So I brought another rifle down. I was kind of thinking, I'll try this one, kind of like it. It shoots good. But then out at the ram, and I was actually shooting into a headwind. So not only you got to get that bullet there into the wind, it's got to knock that big wind sail over backwards. So, and that particular one was 200 meters away. So
okay,
that's a long haul.
Yeah, she starts losing a little steam at that distance, even if you're shooting a little larger grain.
Yeah. And that was actually a Magnum handgun cartridge out of a rifle. So it just, Magnum handgun up close is fearsome. At a rifle, not so much.
So what happens if you hit those and they don't go down? Obviously, it doesn't count. How big is that ram silhouette dimension wise? I mean, you're shooting at 200 yards, all open sight, by the way. No optics allowed, I'm guessing, in this competition.
Nope, and you're standing up, so it's freehand.
Oh, it's offhand or freehand. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, just when you think, man, how can you miss? Yeah, stand there and do it while the wind's blowing. That I can show you how to miss. I can show you easy.
That is probably a bigger challenge than actually hitting the target itself. Is just trying to stay on aim.
That is correct. So what you end up doing is you get your sight adjustments, and I'm that guy. I don't care how far I'm shooting. I like my sight adjustment to be dead center.
Right.
Probably gonna upset some deer hunters here, but I do not like Kentucky windage. That's to me is a myth, folklore. You know how far is 4 inches at 200 yards? You can't tell me that. So
Yeah, unless you know the exact size of your target. I mean, if you're shooting a grid target, that's one thing. But when you're shooting just a big black silhouette or a big animal, that's a little hard to
yeah,
judge. And then the other, I don't shoot a lot of open sights. I've got a couple lever guns myself. They're a great time. But I can imagine that if you start taking windage and aiming over the animal, you get to a point where your holdover makes it so that you can't really see the animal anymore. And how do you judge that distance?
that's the tough call. And that particular rifle that was in the video, the one that I wasn't knocking over, you're you have barrel sights. That's like buckhorn, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And the sight adjustments on those are pretty dead on out to about 100, 150 yards. When you get to 200 yards, if you bump it up to the next notch, you're blacking out your whole target. And if you put it to the next notch lower, you're way under your target. So you have to.
There's still some guesswork going in.
There's still some guesswork.
Yep.
The other rifle, the other little video you saw, the dead center hit, which by the way it was not the first video. That was the only video you get to see.
Creative editing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll get to that a little bit later, but that one actually went over. I was using a bigger rifle, but that rifle actually has a vernier sight on it, so I can adjust it, more fine tuned.
Okay, more of a screw type.
Sight.
Yeah, that's So are those pretty delicate, like the Quigley sights and the ones that screw up and down? How careful do you have to be with those?
Just because I think they're pretty rugged, but because I had to pay for it, I don't push it to the line.
Isn't that something, how you start taking care of things a lot better when you're the one that has to pay for it?
My dad always told me that when I'd peel out in his pickup, and he'd tell me, wait till you start buying tires, boy. And yeah, when I have to buy tires now, it'd make you cringe.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh, no.
I watch my kids drive now, and it's like, I can't wait till you guys have to buy tires.
We're right up against our first break here, Gene. We'll be back here. I just accidentally closed my window that has my out music and my spot block, so that's handy. I don't have a commercial lined up now. That's all right. Stations, you'll have your commercials going. YouTube, you're going to get some dead air here for a minute till I get my iPad fixed again. So we'll be back with Gene Cox with more here after the break. You're listening to Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio.
Yep. Okay. Man, you're having a heck of a time. Hey, can you hear me? Hey, the show Grand Wizard Scott here told us when you come back, tell him he needs to tighten the show up. He hit the brake like he hits coyotes under 100 yards. Okay.
I'll turn my mic on so that they're hearing me a little bit here too. My email will not let me back in. I don't know what's going on. We're about just over a minute from going live again here.
Okay.
No, it's going to have to just not be there for now. Because I don't think I can play it through here.
Yeah, I don't know how you hit coyotes at 100 yards, but I'm guessing
not good.
Someone's critical of your 100-yard shooting.
All right, stand by 30 seconds. Hey, welcome back to Dakota Prairie Outdoors, folks, on all the great stations we go out on: KGFX in Pierre, KOLY in Mobridge, KFYR in Bismarck, KCJB in Minot, and KLTC in Dickinson. Plus, the YouTube channel is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. Make sure you click the subscribe link, and you won't miss any of Scott's shows on Saturday mornings. I'm Jesse Flath, filling in for Scott as he's in the air today, headed out for some meetings. And I lost my YouTube commercial blocks because I clicked the wrong button, and now my iPad won't let me back into my email. Gene, got Gene Cox, the mayor of Mobridge, with me live from Arizona. We're talking lever action silhouette shoot down there, and Gene, 200 yards on a ram size target. First part of the show, we didn't really talk a whole lot about calibers. You said you're shooting a pistol caliber out of a rifle, and then some actual rifle calibers. What do you have down there with you?
Yesterday was a 38-55. That was my rifle caliber. That's your longer range. If you don't know what that is, just imagine it's a 30-30. It's the parent case of the 30-30. So if you just imagine a 30-30 with a straight wall, that's what I was shooting.
So straight wall. Now, do you do, I'm guessing with doing competition, you burn up a lot of ammo. I'm guessing you reload that stuff yourself.
Yeah. If you want to do this, reload, because you can get I'm kind of like a mad scientist on this stuff. I've got actually different loads I shoot out of that gun. So the up close targets, you shoot a chicken at 50 yards, the pigs at 100 yards, the turkeys at 150 yards. So your targets get a little bit bigger, but they also get further out, and they're odd shape.
Right.
So I shoot a real cream puff load for those up close ones, but then at that ram, and you asked me the dimensions earlier. He's probably, you can go look them up. They're actually scientific, dimensions set by the NRA, but they're probably, a couple of feet by a couple of feet, but they've also got legs. And believe it or not, at 200 yards, you can drive a bullet right between both legs and not even touch steel. That's very disappointing when you do that.
Or in a windy situation like you had in your practice, you hit a leg and the wind is coming and holding that target up. You're just not going to have enough power to knock it down.
No, and that steel target probably weighs, I'm going to say 60, 65 pounds. So it's pretty heavy. There's a couple other matches, just a little sidebar. We talked earlier about, hitting a target. Now, the guys next to us at the Berger 1,000-yard range, they're obviously shooting scoped rifles and more high power stuff, but the object is to hit a target at whatever distance you're aiming at. So,
right.
But yeah, coming back now. So that was yesterday. So you shot 80 rounds, plus I probably shot 40 or 50 in practice. And that match is over with. And I posted the score on the Facebook.
I saw that.
The morning match, the morning match was really windy. So I was in the pack, and then the wind kind of died down, and that probably revealed I'm not as a good shooter as I thought I was, and kind of fell apart there toward the end, but that's the way it goes.
So you said that you've got 3 days of shooting. You have rifle the first day, pistol calibers the second day, and 22 the third.
Yep. Now I'm getting ready to go to the pistol caliber here as soon as we're done. And I shoot a lever action rifle. Now the targets are in closer, but they're smaller. So the ram is at 100 yards. Your turkey's at 75 yards. Okay, meters, I'm sorry. And then your pig is probably, I think he's around 50. And then the chicken's at 40. But now they're like 1/5 dimension. So they're really small. It's all optical. Again, same object, knock it off the pedestal.
Right.
And today I'm actually shooting a 38 special out of a lever gun. So you don't need anything powerful. You just need something to get out there and knock that target down.
So are you still shooting those pistol calibers at 200 yards?
No. Like I said, everything's moved in, and your ram is now 100 yards, but he's also, I think, 1/5 half scale. So he's 100 yards, but he's half as big. So
you're shooting at the same size of target. You just don't have quite the windage to your drop, and everything is going to be close to the same, but your windage isn't going to be quite as affected.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, they're just, like I said, the targets are smaller, the bullets are smaller. And then the 22, everything's kind of the same distance, little dinky targets at like 40, 50, 75, and 100 yards. Again, same concept. You got to knock them over. And sometimes a 22 bullet will not push that little ram off the pedestal at 100 yards.
So that 100-yard ram, how thick a metal is that? I mean, you said earlier what you thought they weighed, and I don't remember. What are we talking? I mean, 22's only got so much power.
Yep. No, your pistol cartridge target and your 22 target, if you go to a range that sets them up, the 22 targets will be thinner, so they're lighter. How much they weigh, I don't know.
Okay.
This particular range, they automatically reset everything. So your pistol and your 22 targets are the same. They just set them a little, air quotes, lighter, so your 22 knocks them over.
Okay.
But I get my best accuracy with the little standard velocity, 1,000 feet per second. But when I switch over to the ram, I have to go to the higher velocity, that 1,300 feet per second round, just have that energy to punch him over.
Are you restricted on your bullet weight in any of the categories?
Bullet weight, no, there's no restriction.
Okay.
The only thing they will tell you on a 22 range is that a lot of them don't allow the Stinger ammunition.
Okay, the so-called super high velocity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And why that is, I don't know. I've never gotten good accuracy with that stuff in the first place. So.
Right, might be pushing a little hard for what the gun is designed for.
And I get the best accuracy, best results with probably your old lead 40 grain round nose. That's what I use right there.
I suppose a round nose maybe holds together and has a little more punch than a hollow point that's designed to mushroom and come apart. Probably has a little more hit, a little more knockdown on those steel targets. A little different situation than trying to shoot an animal, live animal.
I think so. When I first I bought a new Henry 22 lever action kind of for this competition. The first lever action 22 I ever shot, I had to borrow from my middle daughter, Sarah, and I used her Henry Youth 22. So,
okay.
but we called it a tactical 22 at the rifle range, because it was all short and everything. Here's a 6-foot guy shooting a little short 22, but that was the only 22 lever gun we had at the time. So I was like, I got to fix this.
I tell you what, I bought my daughter one of those. I don't remember if it was a Cricket or one of those little single shot 22s to start with, and she was having a hard time hitting with it. And I thought, well, man, is she just new to shooting and struggling a little bit, or is something wrong with the gun? And I don't know if it was a little bit of both, but I grabbed that little short thing and I could not hit anything. It was unreal that they're so light and they're so short. They obviously don't fit me, but I put her behind a full-size 22. And granted, people that know me were a little larger in my household. My daughter's 11 and she's 5'6" or 5'7" already. But I put her behind a full-size rifle and boom, she was on every shot. So that get a gun that fits you thing is important, I think, in any discipline.
Yes, make sure the gun fits you. All of mine have the I've got they're not competition sights, they're adjustable peep sights.
Okay.
And I get the Williams for the rear and the Lyman Globe for the front, and they're not a huge investment, but they take the guesswork out. And pretty much what that does is eliminates everything but the shooter from being the problem.
Right.
I think every bullet hits right where my barrel was pointed. It's just that sometimes I didn't have it pointed at the target.
All right, Gene, well, we're down to our last 30 seconds of the first half of the show here. I want to thank you for joining me from down there in Arizona, and good luck in these next 2 days of the competition.
Yeah, I'm going to need it. Some of these guys are really good.
Good. Well, good competition breeds improvement is what they always used to tell me when I was struggling.
Yeah, I watch those guys and see what they do. I watch a couple of them. One gentleman's name's John Mullen. He's very, very, very good.
Oh, we're right at our break, Gene. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey, you bet.
All right, I still don't have my commercials working here, but I sure thank you, Gene. So. Okay. Nice. Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks for joining me. You bet. You bet. Bye-bye. All right, Sheldon, come on over. I got a headset for you here. This mic. Right here. I can't get it. It won't let me into my email. So just put the headset on. Yep. 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 I'll play us back in. We got a minute and a half still. Hey, folks, welcome back to Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. I'm your guest host for the day, Jesse Flath. You're listening to us on KFYR Bismarck, KGFX in Pierre, KCJB in Minot, KLTC in Dickinson, and KOLY in Mobridge. Coming to you live from Hazen, North Dakota, downtown here at my Western Frontier Insurance office. First half of the show, we got an update from Gene Cox down there in Arizona. Beautiful weather down there. I hope he has a good time these next 2 days at that lever action competition, the Arizona State Lever Silhouette Rifle Match. Second half of the show here, I'm joined by Sheldon Cieslak. Sheldon is our Hazen Sportsman Club president right now. Been a past president of the North Dakota Fur Takers of America, Chapter 3, member of the United Sportsmen of North Dakota. And Sheldon, you're the Hazen Sportsman's Club we're going to call you the government liaison.
Well, yeah, I do a little bit of work in that department, and it's very interesting and at times very enjoyable.
There is a lot of stuff that flows through the House and the Senate in North Dakota that has a lot to do with the outdoors, whether it be hunting and fishing or land access or ranching or a lot of things that go on. But there's a number of House bills and Senate bills going on this year that have the potential to affect our hunting capabilities, rights. Some of them are trying to expand what we can do as hunters in North Dakota. I've been following it somewhat. There's a couple. What do you know about the one that the party hunting one?
I think last discussion we had was on Tuesday, and that's pretty much done with. They don't expect that to go anywhere.
I just couldn't imagine that the Game and Fish was happy with that one at all. And as a sportsman, I don't know. So the gist of this was that if you had a party of up to 10 people, 2 to 10 people, and you were hunting together, and you held combination licenses, which for me in my unit that I hunt in, it wouldn't have mattered because there's no such thing as a combination license out west. But let's say you had a group of guys that all had combination doe tags or combination buck tags. Basically, if your eyes were a little crossed from the festivities of the night before and you needed me to shoot your deer for you, I could.
Well, yeah, that's been known to happen.
Well, you do hunt in Amadon, so.
Well, yeah, I do. In fact, the camper's still there, snowed in beside L.K. Lord's chicken coop.
Oh no! Why would you park beside a chicken coop?
It just seemed like a good idea at the time.
I love it. Well, that's that bill being on the downtrend, I guess, is something that I don't mind. It wasn't something I was a fan of, I guess you would say. What else we have in the hunting realm that you've been watching?
Well, one thing that they were looking at is school land, state land, I should say. It's the posting has increased on that denies access, and sometimes for a good reason. And they're going to go about it by doing a study. Let me look at my notes here. And input would be from the Department of Trust Lands and Game and Fish. People that use that land can weigh in on what's going on. And there are times where, that access needs to be restricted, and they want to make sure it's only under those situations.
Right. And Scott alluded to this. I don't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. They were visiting. If you run on state land or school land and you post it as the leasee of that land, you have the right to do that. However, then you, as the person that's operating on that land and posting it, also cannot hunt on it. You can't use it as I'm renting this section of state land. I'm going to keep Sheldon from hunting out here because I want to hunt on it. That's not how it works. Sometimes they got cattle out there. Sometimes there's extenuating circumstances, but there's more and more of it, like you said, being posted every year. And has there been some committee hearings on that, or are they still in the study phase, or what are you hearing on that?
They're going to study that. They're not jumping on it, full force. They want to study it. They want to get people's opinions, comments, what situations have they seen. I mean, you brought up that if you post it as the leasee, you can't hunt on it yourself, but once in a while you'll see somebody in there with a pickup truck with a rifle in there during deer season checking cows, and there's just no cattle in there. They must be looking for a calf that got out. So
yeah, that's the problem is rules are developed because of rule breakers, and it only takes one to kind of wreck a situation. So it is something that someone's going to try to take advantage of at some point, and we hope that they make an example out of that individual instead of kind of restricting all of us, whether it's restricting the hunting or restricting the rancher or farmer from doing what they need to do on their end because of one bad actor. So that'll be interesting. If they're doing that study, that's probably going to be something they don't actually act on this legislative session, you're thinking, or
no,
are they trying to get it going and done by the end?
I don't think they're going to act on it.
Okay.
Other than the study, I think they're doing the right approach. They're not having a knee-jerk reaction. It's okay, let's look at this, let's get it out on the table and see what we can see what we have and see what we can do.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing what they're doing right now.
Good. Okay. I see another note written down here, the HB 1538. They're trying to change some fishing tournament rules, applications and whatnot. And this one kind of piqued my interest because all of a sudden in the last couple of years, Scott and I have become fishing tournament people because it's so hard to get out and coyote hunt anymore. We decided to waste our money doing something different.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of an interesting one. Is it's keeps reforming itself. There's amendments all the time, and part of it was raise the fee from $250 to $2,500 for tournaments with, I believe, it was less than 50 people and 15 boats or less. And it's been amended to include up to 25 boats. Part of it was eliminate the 10% fee that goes back locally. Some of that money, that doesn't even touch the Game and Fish Department's hands. Sometimes it goes straight to the community that,
right,
for
benefit or fundraiser.
It can be for boat docks, fish
Oh,
cleaning
okay.
stations, and sometimes there's a matching situation where if you have $10,000, somebody will give you 10,000 also,
Right.
and that's just taken on a life of its own, and it changes every week what's added or subtracted. So
Well, and I saw some language, and I read this a couple weeks ago, so it may have been changed multiple times since then. But there was some language in there. It's like they were trying to make it so that if you have a small community, let's say there's 5, 6 guys that have cabins in one bay, and those 5 guys decide, you know what, tomorrow morning, let's have a neighborhood fishing tournament. We'll fish for 3 hours. First one to come back has to cook lunch for the rest. We all put $10 in the pot. They're trying to make it so that those gentlemen's 3, 4 boat fun deals aren't included in this regulation, is what it looks like to me.
yes, and another thing was brought up, like little fishing tournaments for kids.
Right.
Look at the Cops and Kids fishing tournament that
Here
we
in
have
Hazen?
up here at Harmony Lake. I mean, that one's not little. That's a great one.
That has grown
Yeah,
substantially.
and they want to make sure that this can continue. So once again, it comes down to interpretation and the verbiage, if you will, on the bill.
Now, something like that, does that even fall underneath the rules? Because there's no fee charge. There's prizes given. There's door prizes. I don't think there's even a prize for the biggest crappie or anything. It's kind of any kid that shows up gets a little something.
I don't think that's included in there, but
Okay.
one of the things they're doing is making sure it doesn't get included.
Gotcha. That probably falls for that father-son one over in Stanton then too that they do. Are they still doing that?
It took a break
Okay.
for a while, and then it started back up. I'm not sure. My kids are not at that age anymore,
Yeah.
so kind of lose track.
You're about to have grandpa duties here someday eventually.
Oh yeah.
Got another kid married off here recently.
Oh yeah, right in the middle of deer season. I can't believe that I actually have a child that thought the second weekend of deer season
Was a good
time.
idea.
Yeah, and then up in Grand Forks, middle of a blizzard.
Oh, beautiful! Wow, I can't say much. I got married December 22nd, and all my relatives from the Garrison Cole Harbor area couldn't make it either because of the snowstorm. So I guess
it turned out well though. We had a great time.
Good.
Everyone had fun, and just about everyone made it.
So speaking over there, kind of switch gears here. I've always wanted to go hunt flat country where it didn't take me an hour to retrieve my coyote, and I kind of want to go east and try that out. But man, the incentive to go coyote hunting for fun, other than just keeping them out of cattle, has kind of disappeared with these fur prices. You're part of the North Dakota Fur Takers Association, North Dakota Fur Takers of America. You guys have been holding a fur auction at least once, if not twice a year, down in Bismarck, and it had great success here after you guys brought it back. But now this year you haven't held one. Let's talk a little bit about the world market and what the world's happened to all the fur prices, whether it's coyote or fox or beaver or beaver caster, everything that you guys were selling at that sale.
Well, the 2023 auction's been canceled. The last auction for 2022, not enough money changed hands to make it worthwhile. The fur market became depressed. I think the number one buyer of coyotes was Canada Goose. They have been taken over by it. Basically, the majority of the stockholders are anti-fur. So they went a different direction, and that hurt the coyote market. That even our fur prices were the best for coyotes. North Dakota is noted for the quality of their coyotes.
Right. That's why the Petska furs and all them guys from way down in Nebraska and further south, they make their runs up here.
Oh, yes. And it really hurt the market. The other stuff really wasn't that good. You had to be good at handling fur and be quick in order to turn a buck. Coyotes raccoons, sometimes $5 to $18. Muskrats were $1.50 to $3. So it's tough.
Can you get anything for a muskrat or a coon right now?
That would be probably top quality pelts.
Okay.
Right now, when the fur market's in this type of situation, they'll only buy the best of the best because they don't have a large quantity that they want to invest in.
So there's rumors of warehouses full of coyote furs and fox furs sitting there just not going to market. Is that out there? I mean, if the market was to come back, there's guys saying that it would take a couple of years to get all those moved out anyway. So even if the market came back, the new crop, we'll call it, of coyotes that we shoot next fall still won't be really worth anything. What type of worldwide situation are we looking at here as far as being able to move things?
Well, first off, yeah, there are people holding on to their fur. I've known people to hang on to pelts for 5 years.
I suppose as long as they're stored right.
Yeah, they after they're dried, they'll put them in the freezer because once they're dried, they're still not preserved. They'll just last longer, so they'll put them in the freezer. But China, Greece, Italy, Russia, Korea are a big buyer of North American furs. Well, we know what's happening in Russia. We know
Right.
China. It doesn't take much to figure that out.
Maybe that's what those balloons were doing, trying to find the furs.
It could be. You never know. But the coyote hunt, the hardcore coyote hunters that I know are mostly in for fun now. It's like it just pays for their ammunition.
Right.
It doesn't even pay for their scope.
Well, and then some of these guys, they're pheasant hunters. The coyotes are hard on the pheasant. They're deer hunters. The coyotes can be hard on the deer. So it's a balancing act. The coyote really doesn't have a natural predator in our landscape. So
not anymore. Their natural enemy was the prairie wolf. Of course, we don't have those anymore around here. So that allowed them to flourish. I think in Lewis and Clark's time, by reading their diaries and stuff, it seems like they encountered more wolves in North Dakota than they did coyotes.
Do you think those were just hunted out, or what happened to the prairie wolf?
Well, they're very dependent on the buffalo. That's why sometimes they were called the buffalo wolf. And buffalo were replaced with cattle. And although I think there's room for everything, if something's eating my
profit
money, I'm going to be upset.
Well, and that's where a number of years ago the big push for night hunting was. It was a money-driven thing, not so much for furs, but for another avenue for protection of livestock for these ranchers. And we are in the night hunting season here now for a little bit longer. March 15th, I think, is when it technically closes for everybody. There are regulations out there for the ranchers and depredation to be able to use certain avenues even past that time, but you got to go check out the Game and Fish website for that. We're not going to get into that today because I haven't read up on it for a while.
Yeah, I haven't either. I know a few years ago there were some changes trying to be implemented. So yeah, keep updated when you do things like this. Stuff can change, and Game and Fish is very, very good at answering questions.
That March 15th date, for whatever reason, is tied to a lot of stuff. Your ice houses can't be left on the ice anymore. Night hunting is over. A number of other things. What you got anything coming up? Goose hunting. You hunted any geese?
Oh yeah.
We used to talk about that at the Sportsman's Club a lot, and I've been so darn busy that I haven't been able to get to meetings. How's this goose season around here? This is a pretty busy flyway around here.
It's a busy flyway, and if you want to go out, spend a lot of time scouting, if you have the decoys, land access, it's phenomenal. For somebody like me that's not as driven as I used to be, I kind of take it easy. I'm more dependent on the weather. If you hit the weather right, if you're there when they come down, the big flights, the Canadians, the Snows, the Blues, it's unbelievable.
What are you seeing or hearing? A lot of land being bought up, whether it's for goose hunting, duck hunting, deer hunting. The land prices in our county and statewide have just exploded. A lot of people think that it's I'll call them sportsmen, out of state, in state, money men coming around and buying up property to have a place to hunt. What do you see in all your travels and research? Do you see that happening, or is it something we should be concerned about?
Well, we should be a bit concerned about it. How prevalent is it? I don't know. I mean, somebody buys land. I mean, if you take a look, a lot of our landowners are not residents of North Dakota, but they had ties. Over by Black Butte, there's a chunk of land there that the lady that owns it has never seen it, but she acquired it through the family over the years.
Right. And acquiring is one thing, but we got guys coming in paying quadruple prices of what we're used to. Granted, we've got inflation, we've got all kinds of factors happening here in the last couple of years. There's been some land in Mercer County here that I've been at the auctions where we're talking what I consider Red River prices, and I won't call it marginal land, but definitely not land that I thought was going to go for those dollars. And it just kind of makes a guy wonder, we've got the anti-corporate farming bill, so it can't be a corporation. It's got to be an individual that buys the land, and it's making things interesting around here, that's for sure.
One thing I have noticed when somebody advertises, land for sale or a land auction, oftentimes it mentions the hunting opportunities on it.
Yes, every time you see an advertisement. Well, there are some land auctions coming up, and check it out, everybody. You can go to pifersauction.com, one of Scott's sponsors, or many of the other auction companies around the state, and check it out. So, Gene, good luck down there in Arizona. That lever action thing, it's a good time. Sheldon, I want to thank you for your time coming in here and giving us a little bit of an update, and continued success in your adventures. If anybody wants a good time, go to Facebook and like Sheldon and check out his lives.
Oh,
They're pretty good.
I'm gonna get in trouble. But anyway, well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Hey, you bet. Everybody, check out Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio on YouTube. Check out Scott's daily shows on a number of stations all throughout the state. And thanks for joining us today on Dakota Prairie Outdoors. Eat some meat, drink some milk. Have a good rest of your weekend. Oh, my mic's not turned up. Thanks, everybody on YouTube, for joining me, sticking with me through my trials and tribulations here this morning. My iPad, I am not an anything. I'm Android, and Scott always gives me a hard time, but the old iPad ate my lunch today, so I had to go to the Android phone to get the end of the show done there. Scott will be back next week. We'll see what the topics are next week, see if he can get us some South Dakota legislation updates, and he's bumping up against spring calving here. I might be down there helping him more than I'm used to. So thanks for joining us again. See you next Saturday.